not going to create a matte frame like this. I want you to just simply cut out 7 by 7 inches, like in the very similar format like in the previous assignment, 7 by 7 inches square, then roll out 6 by 6 inches square inside, so you will preserve that half of an inch of the border all around. And I showed you very carefully, precisely how to do this in the previous assignment. To refresh your memory, you can always come back to the previous videos on that. But now it's a little bit harder to figure out how to find those intervals of colors. So the idea is, well, you will have to once again look through a lot of colors here. We want to create or find 4 squares that will be larger, 3 by 3 inches each, and they will be in cool colors. They can be also in warm colors, but the smaller square, consisting of small squares 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches each, should be temperature wise opposite to that larger square of colors. Okay, so in this situation we have cool colors, that is the larger square underneath. So of course the idea is you first, because these are larger shapes, you glue them first, and then on top of these, so this red is actually on top of that glue, blue, sorry. Okay, so then on top of these you're gluing opposite in temperature colors in smaller squares. Okay, so you have to first find the pairs of colors that have the same value and intensity, because that will match better. So you're trying to find colors that are of the same value, so you keep the same value, larger square with the smaller square, but the hue will be different and it will be defined in a very specific way. The larger square will be temperature wise opposite to the smaller square. This is my color wheel. Okay, right, it's very complicated, but really I'm looking at the outer edge mostly. That's what is useful here. So if you look at 2 halves of the color wheel, you can divide this into halves, right? So you can see, let's say somewhere over here. Okay, so this half of the colors is definitely, these are all cool colors here. Violets, greens, violets, blues, all of these colors are cool temperature wise. Now starting with red up to yellow, that yellow green is also still kind of warm. All of these colors, especially between red and yellow, all of these are warm. Okay, so that can give you an idea how to deal with this assignment. If you're still not feeling it, yes, what is warm, which is warm, but of course it's also relative, yes, so that's getting more complicated, because if you think about tints, so, well, let's see, let's start pulling out some of the colors. You would like to look for colors of different hues, but still temperature-wise similar within the smaller square versus the larger square. Okay, well, that's definitely a pretty warm color. Those intervals have to be even, so if I decide on these tints, this might be too, I don't know, still could work. for another square. Yes, they don't have to be that much even within that square. And you see what I mean by that. So this is warm color that yet I chose. Well, let's look for cool color that will be of the same value and intensity. Let's try that. Cool color, cool color. I have a couple of candidates here. So if I look at these two colors, I want to keep this one, okay? Does it match according to our assignment, to what we're trying to find for this assignment? No, this is not a good pair. Just because this violet, well, temperature wise, yes, great, it's cool in relation to this color, but value is really dark. It's much darker than this. In terms of value, they do not match. So this doesn't work. Well, we have another violet here. Temperature wise, great. Well, if I look at the boundaries, we were talking about this last time, that's still pretty harsh boundary. It means, well, obviously we see the contrast is extreme. It's still extreme. This is too dark. Let's see this color. I love this color. Okay. Well, they go together really nicely, but for this assignment, for the parameters of this assignment, this doesn't really work. Why? Well, okay, temperature works. It's cool color versus warm color, but I think it's still too dark. Okay, it is still too dark. So let's move it out. I have to tell you that this is looking pretty good because this is a sort of tint, so it can give you also an idea how to look for another color. If you found a color that is a tint, then if you're trying to match another color and find the appropriate value, then you know if it's tint, that has to be also a tint, okay? And I already see I have a couple of tints here. So that could work. Maybe it's a little bit too dark. I have a couple of here. Wow, that blue looks great. Okay, so if I look at these, well, now this one looks way too dark. Okay, so if we look at the boundaries between the colors, well, it's much harsher than the boundary between these two. Although I know it's tricky to think about the boundaries right now because the temperature is screaming at us, because the contrast between temperatures is relatively strong. But in terms of value, I think this is closer. This is a really good candidate. This is fine, maybe a little bit too dark. This is also a pretty nice tint, maybe a little bit too dark. And we have these beautiful violets. I really like that tint. It's not as intense as the previous ones, so it's something that you may want to consider. This appears a little bit too dark. Well, violets overall, they are the darkest colors on your color wheel. So if you create a tint, it can appear still darker than a tint of a different color, especially warm color like that. Okay, so I think between these two, this is lighter. It could work with this. I think I will go with this blue.